Hello, welcome to our first ever PTEC podcast where we're discussing types of viruses. I'm Rory. Go ahead and
I'm
introduce yourself,
Ethan.
guys. There you go.
Oh wow, you just
I'm
interrupted me.
Kieran.
Goddamn.
Ethan, don't worry about it. Anyway, so we had a pretty general sort of flow of how these things are gonna work. It's gonna be the majority of us just talking and discussing stuff. Not a lot to it really.
So, wanna go in order of how it's ordered?
I'd have to open up the plan, and I
Well,
think
whoever has viruses, whoever's blue.
they're blue. Well, we're all kind of
Kieran.
blue, dude. Stuck in the quarantine, everyone's kind of blue, if you know what I'm saying.
Damn. All right.
But yeah, we can open it up.
Didn't need to come, you didn't. I didn't expect you to go Socrates on me. Damn.
Sorry, dude. Anyway, yeah, Kieran, you're up with describing just a virus.
Alright, hold
Oh,
Shh, Ethan, shh, shh.
I said hold on.
Okay, well, we
on.
can get.
Okay, so the definition in my own words is a virus is a type of software, computer software that duplicates itself while modifying other computer programs and putting malicious code. A user can be affected by this by clicking onto a sketchy website or clicking on a fake virus warning ad. Um, It can harm the user by taking control of the hard disk space, central processing unit time, accessing and stealing private information such as credit cards, phone numbers, names, etc.
You just want to go into a bit more depth about what it is really, like to describe it a bit better.
What do you mean, like,
Just sort of
try?
like, can you give us an example of one?
Um, I don't know any examples of
Oh,
one.
okay. Well, I mean, I think a good example would be like, ever seen like those PC cleaner kind of things? You know, like, oh, your PC is infected. Click here to disinfect. It has like 800 infections. You have to have seen those things before, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Um.
okay.
Anyway, I'm up here. I'm talking about worms, like a worm virus, right? The very simple explanation: a worm is sort of like a type of malware that can spread rapidly through networks by replicating itself and then infecting devices across the network. Basically, how you would become infected by it um, is, is usually packaged as like a Trojan or just as like a virus itself. So it might be hidden inside something you download off the internet. It could be from things like a fake email you clicked on or like a link. Um, it could be from visiting a sketchy website, right? Like you can get them however you think you can accidentally install a virus. A worm can do the same thing. So worms can be quite dangerous to whole networks. They can effectively shut down an entire network if they wanted to, because they can again like they can just sort of infect the entire network and then do whatever they want, right? So let's say the worm might be running ransomware, it might hold your entire computer hostage, or it might be doing something entirely different. It might be tampering with files. It might be sending emails, creating bloatware, adding spyware, anything it wants. A good example actually. Two very famous ones is Stuxnet and WannaCry. So we probably heard about Stuxnet before, but people haven't. Stuxnet was this really high-tech worm that sort of spread across the world, and it was only targeting one facility. I don't exactly remember where. Somewhere in the Middle East that was making like nuclear generators or something. Something to nu-
Nuclear-based power.
nuclear-based power, right? They're trying to basically get those reactors to actually melt down and probably like cause an explosion or something like that. And it was only targeting that one facility, and but millions of people around the world just had it anyways because it is a worm. Whereas WannaCry was a ransomware that basically was targeting mainly sort
Rory,
of
that's a different topic.
no. It was a ransomware worm, and it was targeting mainly sort of healthcare services, but a lot of people got the WannaCry virus, and it would basically just hold their computers hostage. But it was a worm, so it would spread across networks. So if you were connected to your work network and it got there, and you had a laptop and you brought that laptop home, then your home network could get infected. And then if you had, let's say you had like you brought your laptop to like the local Starbucks or something, right? Then that would also spread everywhere, and everyone there would get it. So very dangerous stuff. Um, Best way to protect against worms is make sure your antivirus software is up to date. So let's say like Windows Defender isn't like the best example, but it's still better than nothing. Make sure that's up to date. Make sure your operating system itself is up to date, right? Because then it might have patches against certain types of worms. Just make sure you're secure as you can be, and don't click anything you don't trust. Really, that's basically how worms work for the most part.
That's fair.
Okay, we're gonna move on to
You again.
yeah, I'll go talk about ransomware actually, because I was just talking about that before. Um, let's see. Well, yeah, ransomware. It's quite a mean uh, type of virus, if you will. What it basically does is once it infects your system, it will hold either certain files or your entire hard drive basically hostage by encrypting the files on it, or the files that are selected, and will only de-encrypt them once you give them a certain amount of payment. So usually like it has a special encryption key that only it knows. And even if you give the payments, there's no guarantee you actually get your files back. Pretty nasty stuff. Like it could be, oh yeah, if you give me, point something rather Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's stupidly expensive, I'll give you your files back. Oh, what's that? You paid me the money. Don't care. I'm gonna keep holding them hostage, right? Really mean stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
Usually ransomware is, like I said, spread through a worm, like we talked about WannaCry, but it could also be from fake websites. You've probably heard or even seen like firsthand those sort of like loud websites like error, call now, your Windows device is infected, kind of thing. Um, you might call them and they might get you to actually like install a program, which and then that will be running the ransomware, which that's sort of social engineering, which we'll talk about in the next episode. Um, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, it's basically can infect you anyway. Any other like unwanted program can infect you. They're through fake links, trojans, packages, other stuff. It's mean stuff again. Let's see. So again, like how it can harm your files, right? Is just hold them hostage. It could keep them encrypted. It could just entirely delete them if it wanted to, corrupt your hard drive. Even if you pay, right? They don't have to because they really don't care, right? They have your files and they're getting money out of you. They could extort more if they wanted to. Um, so actually, again, back to the WannaCry, because it's very famous. If you would actually see the original screen, it would tell you that you had only so many days to pay. Uh, and then after that, I think it was actually like 7 days you had to pay. Or no, I think it was 3 days you had to pay, and then after it started deleting files. I can't remember exactly. But there was apparently options for people who couldn't afford to pay that. Like they were, well, quote unquote, nice. And they give you like a couple, like 6 months of something to help pay for it. I don't remember. There's sort of like support program. Odd coming from a hacker, which is awful virus like that, but whatever. Again, we talked about how it spreads, right? So it was infecting sort of major health organizations, but also just people around the world. And great ways to actually like this is actually a really easy one to defend. I mean, as long as you have the storage for it, just create a backup of your data, like back it up to an external hard drive, or back it up to, let's say you have like a backup server at your house. Just create backups of your hard drives. That way, if you do get infected by a ransomware, you can either just reboot from a backup or just entirely reformat the drive and then reboot from the backup. And make sure you have antivirus and your OS is up to date again, because those things like, a lot of the time can actually stop stuff, which is great, right? But in the event that it can't stop it because it can still sneak through, then you'd want to have a backup of your data. That's pretty much how those work. I think we're on to looks like backdoors.
Oh, that's me. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So backdoors. It's a form of malware used to get hackers unauthorized access through unsecure points of entry. That's my own definition, by the way.
So
So that's
like
pretty cool.
literally creating a backdoor. It's like, oh, what's
Yeah,
this? You have a
just
secure
going, not going through the front entrance, right? You're literally like making a sneaky way, making a sneaky way in and out, just to get information.
cut hole in
So,
wall.
yeah, exactly. Just grab the chainsaw. That's a lot of damage.
Nah, bro. Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's even better.
Anyway,
Alright, so,
we're getting off
yeah.
track here.
So, now the question is, how does the user become affected by the threat, vulnerability, or attack? Did not read that as a question. I made that up myself on the spot.
Mhm.
Backdoors are the software used to steal information from an entity. Um, methods include things like worms, Trojan horses, so on and so forth. Pretty much like any method possible. But once it's in, it'll just like burrows its way in, does whatever it wants. Really, just you know creates an entrance for other viruses and
Well,
itself.
yeah, like it just basically creates an opening where other things can just get into your computer if it wanted to, right?
Exactly, hence the name backdoor. That makes a
Yeah.
door for other viruses. Yeah.
Truly, we are the
Yeah.
largest brains in
Oh yeah.
the business.
Sitting on a chair of my own brain.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so how does it harm the user or the user system? Uh, really, it just like I mean, it's not. It doesn't really harm the user system. It's really the viruses that ensue afterwards that'll harm your system. It just creates,
A
as the name would
backdoor.
suggest, a backdoor. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it creates a backdoor for other viruses to get in. So they can do whatever they want. So, for example, they put in some ransomware. They just encrypt all your files. You can't do crap.
Yeah, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah, you
I
don't even know
guess.
how it got on, so you
Yeah.
can't fix the problem even if you do have a backup.
That
So
basically is like how it affects you, right? Because it basically allows other things to get on. So it indirectly harms your system, really.
yeah. All right. So let's talk about an example. The W3C / induc INDUC dash A with a capital.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, virus was detected on the August of 2009, routing its way to the program compiler of Delphi, a Windows programming language. Virus edited a part of the compiler, thus putting all systems using it at risk. Before it was caught and fixed a year later, it had infected numerous devices. It was pretty bad, and although it itself didn't actually, you know, do too much damage, it created an opening for more damage to happen, and as I said, it infected numerous devices, it created a backdoor for them to get in, and all those other viruses, those evil ransomwares and
Yeah.
uh, evil jazz just got in and
Evil
really
jazz.
evil jazz. Yeah, it really just wasn't a good time for the U.S. and I don't know if it affected a lot of Canada. I know it affected like a lot of the U.S.
What about Europe?
But
Was Europe okay?
Europe, I didn't see any mention of
I guess
Europe
they're.
when I was reading through it.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So protection. I mean, it's very difficult to start with the attacks. If interested, just please contact a professional to speak with them. That way you can have all your questions answered face to face. Like we can't really answer, like the we can't really tell you the in-depth way of actually doing this. It's a very complicated manner. Um, I, if I were you, the listener, I would highly suggest searching it up, but I don't think we have enough time on this podcast to actually explain.
Well, explain like how to protect yourself against a backdoor, really?
Yeah, no, like it's like it's really a long process.
Oh, well, yeah, because they're probably pretty tricky things, and I mean,
Yeah,
we don't have a ton of time, but yeah, seek professional help.
yeah.
Hope for the best.
We're just three high school students. Don't trust us.
No, don't trust what we're saying.
Yeah. All
Are
right.
we
So
on to rootkits now, or are we still talking about
yeah, we're
backdoors?
on, No. That's over.
Alright, we're over now. Okay, we're on to rootkits.
Yeah. I ain't about to say go seek a professional advice and then give them advice. That's just bad idea.
Yeah, we're not
Okay,
professionals.
exactly. We're not getting paid. All right, so rootkits. Rootkits are a way to gain full access to a system remotely. It's kind of very vague, but it's just how it is. So it can be installed automatically as long as it's first downloaded. However, there's also quite a few who set it up manually, either secretly or under the guise that it's to help them. Like we are going to help your virus or something like that.
Okay.
Come on, man. Really?
Alright, Kieran, we get it. Anyway, but yeah, like rootkits, I think I've heard about them before, right? They're
Yeah,
sort of like,
yeah. So like it's just remote access. I'm pretty sure Radman VPN also has something like that separately, but you have to install that.
well, we don't endorse Ramen. They're not paying us for the sponsorship.
Yeah, we're not about to get sponsored by them and just start roasting them.
Hit us up though, like just
That'd be so.
no problem.
Yeah, literally CEO of Radman's watching this, guarantee.
We'll send it to him.
Yeah. All right. So once installed, it has full access to your device and can do with it whatever it pleases, including but not limited to DDoSing, downloading spyware, downloading other malicious programs, stealing personal information, holding device ransom, etc. So really,
Trying to sell me stuff here? You go, like, Acme.
door-to-door salesman, yeah. So really, it's kind of like a backdoor in that manner that it just helps. It just helps other viruses get in. I
Kind of like
guess.
backdoors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like backdoors.
They're all tied together. Wow.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty great. But does it harm the user or the user's system? It can harm the user by stealing any personal information, holding the device captive, ransomware, deleting software, overusing and possibly breaking parts of the device, etc. So, I think for an example, Sony BMG released a CD that included a music player on it. Fairly harmless, right? In reality, it also installed a rootkit on the device that was used to limit access to the CD and to not give away the presence of said rootkit. Although the rootkit did no harm itself, it still behaved similarly to other rootkits and therefore caused great alarm and suspicion. On top of that, it had also given other viruses an easier entry to systems, thus causing a major flood of viruses onto thousands, if not millions, of devices. Those of them that were infected, I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in the low tens of millions.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, by the way, Sony did try to recall the CDs, but it's a lot
Too
of
late.
a lot of little companies also were like, no, we're just gonna keep on selling them anyways. Don't care, you know.
We're gonna
So-
keep infecting all our customers so then they'll come back.
I'm gonna come back and get an antivirus. It's also a virus. So,
yeah.
protection. Woo! The
Most
virtual
important
condom. Okay. Simple things. Run virus checks periodically. You gotta make sure that you're detecting it so you
Schedule
can know if you
scans,
have it or
people.
not. Exactly. Yeah. Have it running. I don't know, once a week. Just while you're sleeping, just have a virus scan go overnight. Avoid phishing attempts. Phishing. We'll talk to you guys about that in the next episode. But it's basically just social engineer. It's social engineering. It's tricking people. It's using people
Actually, no, I
as.
think we're talking about it in this episode. I'm looking at the plan. Yeah, we are. I'm talking about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So stay tuned, folks. And then I guess make sure you just have a good antivirus. I don't know, like, what's a good antivirus?
I use Malwarebytes because it's free.
Malwarebytes?
Kaspersky is like the best of the best. But it's
Dude,
paid.
Malwarebytes, it just keeps spamming me with notifications to get the premium version.
I don't think that's Malwarebytes, dude. Sounds like adware to me.
Uh-oh.
No, but seriously, like Malwarebytes, really good free antivirus. I've used it a few times, disinfected me a few times. Saved me from a few sticky situations before. But there's obviously it's free, so you don't have the full protection. You can get by the premium, and it has better protection. But if you're gonna pay for it, I just recommend buying Kaspersky because it's like the leading in everything. Again, we're not sponsored, but
The
just
number one
our
in leading.
recommendations.
Not even
Anyway, I
10
think
doctors recommend this.
we're on to Trojan horses, which I've been mentioned a few times. That'd be Kieran, you're up. Or not.
Okay.
There we go.
No, hold on. Alright. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
You good?
So, Trojan horse. The definition in my own words is a Trojan horse is a malware that can mislead users from its true intent. Users can be affected by clicking on a sketchy website or ad, clicking on an email attachment that is not what it seems. It can harm your computer by damaging, disrupting, or stealing information. By like it can also block data, modify the data, copy the data um, for the
The
hacker's
hacker's thing,
intent
yeah.
and disrupt the performance of the target's computer or network. um,
So basically,
describe how.
alright, go ahead.
Sorry, you go. You go. You go.
Oh, okay, sorry. Basically, like, best way to describe it, right, is it's called the Trojan horse for a reason. I think everyone's heard the story of, like, how the Trojans wanted to invade, I believe, Rome, so they just built a big wooden horse, um, and hid a bunch of soldiers in it as a, like, this guy said, as a gift. So then the people were like, oh, look at this cool horse, we'll take it inside of our castle, right? And the Trojans were just chilling inside, waited till nighttime, broke out, and basically stormed the castle and took it all over from the inside out. So, same idea, right? It sneaks into your system pretending to be something like you wanted. Like, let's say it sneaks in and like a zip file for like a bunch of images for like if you're, I don't know, whatever reason you're downloading desktop images, because why not? Or it's some sort of application you thought would be great, and it's hiding in the background, and then it can start running code to do whatever it wants. Anyway, continue.
Alright, so um, a user can protect itself from the threat by installing the right endpoint software protection, or protection software, sorry,
Sounds like
or just have
antivirus.
good email checking software, but I don't know the name, like the proper
For email checking,
term. Yeah, like the
I mean, for the
terminology
most
for
part,
it.
Gmail does it, which almost everybody uses. But I believe
Yeah.
like Outlook probably does the same thing. Um, I mean, I wouldn't talk about Yahoo Mail because I don't know if anybody still uses that.
Don't exist.
Yeah.
Hotmail, I don't know if Hotmail would do that. It's also old. There's and like just other ones. Most emails should have like spam protection against things like
Now,
tr
question: does Austin's private email have it?
you can train them to do that. I've heard about it.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, there is protection against it. I don't know the official name. It's basically what it amounts to is protection against spam and stuff. Anyway,
Wow.
we're off topic here. Kieran, keep going.
I'm already done.
Are you already done? Okay. Well,
Next one.
let's see. I think we're on to spam. Looks like, which is email and browser attacks. If not, we might be on spyware. It
Oh,
really
that one's
depends.
new. Kira, you got spam?
I have virus, children, and
Okay, well I guess we're on to spyware then.
Oh, that's me
Yeah, you're
again.
up again.
Spyware.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
boy.
then I got a bunch, so don't worry about it.
This stuff's funky. Hear me out.
All right.
Spyware is a generalized category of malware that is used to take data from a user without them knowing. Within the category are also things like Trojan horses, several variants of adware, so on and so forth. Basically, it's just a broad category for anything that really, I don't know, just steals your data. So, how does the user become affected by the threat, vulnerability, or attack? Uh, wait. What did you say, Ryan?
I didn't say anything. Don't worry about it.
So what else? Okay, no. Okay, so devices are infected in numerous manners. I only put this as bullet points, so don't expect a huge paragraph from me. Um,
Fair.
so it can really just be like bundled up with other software, like have it in like a zip file that's like video game.
Coolness.
Yeah, video game of cool. Yeah, and then like inside of it, there's like
Rage
an evil
televisions.
program that can track your keystrokes or I don't know, just like sift through all your data to find out just all your personal data, like what you look like, your credentials, bank information, all that spicy stuff. So there's also abusing outdated security. It can it can do that. Downloading undetected, so it can like with certain browsers. I'm pretty sure there was like Internet Explorer. It has like stupid bad like security, so some spywares can just like download when you just get like when you go onto a page, it just downloads automatically and then runs itself automatically.
Ugh. It's just
Yeah,
all
I'm just
kinds of
like,
bad.
do not use Internet Explorer.
It's outdated like entirely. I think it's stopped receiving support. Well, it's stopped receiving the support, and I believe just in general, like most developers just don't bother developing for it because it's so outdated that most like HTML and CSS and JavaScript just don't work with it. It just isn't supported. So it's very constrained.
Good. All right, yeah. So then it can also, use Trojan horse dash ing. You try Trojan horsing.
Yeah.
It gets in by faking or something else. Bundling with other software. Yeah, and then can you also use external devices disguised as something else? For example, this person says like, "Hey, I got some cool images on this 64 gigabyte USB.
Woo.
You should download the whole thing and run it with even though it's just images. Here, try it out." Then they stick the USB in, and boom, you have spyware, and you're doomed. And yeah, so activation depends on what type of virus it is. Certain spyware only activates on conditions like keystrokes, whereas others are constantly pumping out data from your device. Pretty much all I have for that. But how does it harm? How does it harm the user or the user's? Spyware, when active, will be searching your system, copying data, and sending it across the network. What this means for you as a user is that the device may seem old. What I mean by old is that it carries along the same symptoms as a computer that's run its course, namely slower loading time, applications crashing, network connectivity issues, connectivity, I don't know. Along with that, your personal data is being sent to a person you most likely do not know, who would then sell your data for profit. Wow, you're not even getting that profit?
Woo.
SMH. So,
Just
let's
give me a
talk
cut, you
about
know.
yeah, at least give me a cut. Okay, so let's move on to an example. As an example, cool web search. That was an actual virus.
Cool web search.
It's called cool web search. Do not search it up; you will get the virus.
Okay.
As an example, Cool Web Search was a family of malicious programs that abused the lack of security on Internet Explorer, as mentioned earlier.
Oh, actually, I'll be talking about that later. Actually,
Oh, wow.
sort of description of how it works.
Oh, okay. Once infected, when accessing a web browser, it automatically redirects you to a collection of ads, including coolwebsearch.com. It's already taken. I really wish I had that domain, but it's taken.
Just do
It can accomplish.
coolinternetsearch.com.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Huh.
But that's already taken though by another virus. Okay, it can accomplish this by rewriting search engine results and changing host files to direct DNS lookups to these sites. So, how do you protect against this coolwebsearch.com? Download an ad blocker. I mean, it's usually the ads that are the problem. A website can't really redirect you to an ad if the ad doesn't exist.
Or it can't access like the server where the ads is hosted,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah. So use a secure browser. Don't use Internet Explorer. Use something like Chrome, Microsoft Edge, that new Edge, the one that's Chrome based.
Like Chromium Edge, the latest
Yeah.
version, which is probably a lot better in my opinion. Don't tell Austin.
Oh, it's a step up. Okay, so then you should be wary of the sites you visit. Keep in mind, it's usually that the user is the most vulnerable part of a system.
Yeah,
Just
humans are
like be skeptical. Don't just don't like you gotta second guess yourself. Don't just be like, oh, that's a cool, funny looking cat image. I'm gonna click on it because it looks funny.
mine now.
Yeah, and then they have all of your cat images from your computer, and they take them and they delete them, and you're sad.
Yeah.
So, um, Yeah, just second check whatever you're doing, whatever you're downloading. Make sure if you don't know what something is that you're downloading, search it up. Don't just download it without doing anything. Make sure you're checking the URL. If you're this actually happened to me. I was trying to download what was it called? Hold on. I was trying. Oh God, I have too many windows open. I was trying to download called Blender,
Oh,
and yeah, and it wasn't actually Blender. It was a random website. And I was like,
oh,
and I was
actually,
asking,
I've seen that before.
yeah, it was weird because it was the top search result too.
Again, I can talk about that later. Actually.
Yeah. So I asked so I asked the teacher and if this was the right site because it looked a little funky,
Oh yeah.
and he and he, and he told me, that's just not it. So, because it wasn't Blender.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like check the URL, make sure it's not like I don't know, free iPhone X giveaway, 100% guarantee, all
Dot
that
dot ru.
weird, yeah, all that weird stuff, and yeah, just stay safe, folks.
I think we're gonna move on to actually move back to logic bombs because we actually missed that one. Looking at the plan here. Yeah, we're disorganized right now. It's the first episode, but yeah, we missed logic bombs, which is a sort of a more general malware, less email and browsers. And Kieran, that'd be you.
Okay, so logic bomb, in my own words, is a piece of code that is put into a software system that sets off a malicious function. An example of how it's set off is you launch an application at a specific date and time, which triggers the logic bomb malware. Uh, it affects the user by sabotaging the person who has access from the affected company. Like it's mainly someone who works inside of a company that does the logic bomb.
Hmm.
Um, it harms user by just deleting files. And that's basically it. An example is in June 2006, Roger Duronio, I don't know how to say his last name, a system admin for UBS, was charged for using a logic bomb to damage the company's computer network with with security fraud for his failed plan to drive down the company's stock with activation of the logic bomb.
Oh, okay. So
Uh,
like, I guess basically what a logic bomb is, it's like a ticking time
yeah,
bomb of a
yep,
virus on your system that like for a certain date and time, then it just goes off like a bomb and
yeah,
does whatever it wants to do.
yeah. Uh, he was convicted to and sentenced to 8 years and 1 month in prison, which is a long time.
Not gonna lie, I
Um,
thought you were about to say capital punishment.
no. Um, a user can protect themselves from the logic bomb by not downloading pirated software and don't click on random email links.
It's fair.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
All
think
right, yeah.
we're on now. We're going back. We're going to adware. That's easy wasting again.
Oh, that's also me.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here listening to you guys talk. I'm not doing anything.
That's because you have like all your stuff at the start and the end.
Yeah, I have like six coming up with you guys sort of positioned intermittently between them.
Yeah. So, adware, a program or a section of a program that is designed to display advertisements to a user. This can be accomplished by the developer or by an external source. Um, adware is built into a lot of applications to help cover development costs and such. Therefore, when downloading an app, there's a high probability that there will be adware in it. Adware will typically have ads to the sides, top, or bottom of the screen and will be designed to not cover content. However, if it is like a virus, for example, then that's another story. But let's see. It can also be found displaying full screen ads on conditions like beating a level in a video game or trading ad watch time for perks currency within a game. How does it harm the user or the user's system? In terms of adware, harm is a strong word. Compared to others on our list, adware is really tame. In some cases, ads can cover content, but other than that, there's not much.
They're annoying.
So, I mean, they're a little annoying, but like, what do you really want to do? These developers need to get paid.
Well, I
He's
mean, I feel like
expecting.
there's a difference between getting like ads on your game, looks like it's like a mobile game, and just straight up adware.
I mean, like when I was doing the research, I saw like this is just what I've gotten from researching, dude. Like adware is just like the part of a program, or the program itself that just runs ads.
Yeah, so I mean, by that extent, then you'd be calling like you'd be calling YouTube adware, basically, right?
I
Um,
mean, yeah, the section that displays the ads, sure.
I guess so. Like
Yeah, most things have adware. Have adware.
that's true, and I mean, obviously, it's not all of it's malicious, right? But the malicious kind is usually worse. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Of course, there is also the extremities, where you just get like pop-up ads like everywhere, and you can't stop it because like
you see like
it's a
those
virus.
those ads with the dudes frantically clicking over a screen, but there's more and more windows keep popping up, kind of thing.
Yeah, it looks like a 2012 hacker movie.
I'm in.
I'm into the database.
Anyway,
Okay, so example within the mobile game industry, it's also common practice to have a watch this 30-second ad to skip this level or to get gems. It's not harmful to anyone. Instead, ads in another way to get rare currencies or exclusive items. This is prominently shown in games like Clash of Clans, Overloot, most hyper-casual games, puzzle games, skip levels, etc. So how do you protect against this? So ads can be annoying to users. So software called ad blockers were developed. Just use an ad blocker if you don't like them. They work just as their name implies and are very common. You could just get one off of the App Store. Most apps on the App Store are fairly secure because that's how Apple works. They verify like apps before they're published. That's why Apple has better security than Android or other systems.
okay.
Um, However, with mobile games, I personally don't recommend it. It's the way that those developers get paid for their work, so it's just nicer to sit through that extra 30 seconds. However, you should still be wary if anything seems wrong. Research the problem and check it out yourself. Like just common sense.
Yeah, if something seems wrong, look into it, try to fix it.
Don't
Don't
just be
just
like
leave it.
don't care. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't be like don't care and just press the X button and just be done with it. You gotta
yeah.
actually smart. Be smart. Don't be dumb.
Use your brain.
And don't be stupid, man. All
Uh,
right, so that's all for adware.
yeah. Okay, so we're talking about scareware now. That's me. I'm up. Uh, so yeah, scareware. What it is. I want to call it like a more sort of a social version of a Trojan, almost. Um, so Trojans are more software based. Scareware is more sort of like a social based thing, and how it works is it's usually more like a word of mouth thing sometimes. So it'll infect a user system um, and tries to scare them. So like it could be again like scareware might come in a Trojan or it might be in a worm, and basically all it does is just tries to scare the user into downloading something even more harmful. So it basically acts as like well, maybe like a front door almost instead of like a back door, where the user sees the scareware, gets scared, and then like willingly downloads the actually harmful software. So basically, opening the front gates and letting anybody in, kind of thing. But it's done by the people, like the actual user. Usually in the form of like, oh, your computer is infected. Download this software to remove, right? Uh, or actually, a good example again, like I talk about like those scam websites, like oh your Windows security, your computer's infected, call now kind of thing. That'd be a good example of scareware. I mean, it's a browser, but it's still the same idea. And then you would, call them, and then or you would download this application, and then you essentially just let the malware into your system willingly.
All right, so like just to verify that I'm understanding this, scareware is kind of just like it goes into the back. It's like a person, right? It goes into the back door. It's on like not even Halloween, but he's wearing like a I don't know, scary costume of sorts, and he just like goes in and scares the user right out the front door, and because they open the front door, all the other viruses that are actually harmful get to come in, kind of
Actually,
thing.
uh, I describe it more as like if you ever see those people on like the side of the road, like the end is nigh kind of thing, or uh, or just like media sort of blowing up about the latest thing. Like for example, right now with the coronavirus pandemic, right?
Yeah.
People are like freak buying toilet paper. That would be like like that'd be kind of like a more sort of like person-based scareware. So like everyone's like, oh, they're being scared by like the media, like oh, there's a shortage of everything, so they're going out and buying toilet paper. Obviously, it's not as harmful as a virus, but same idea. Like oh, people are seeing like this on the internet, and like they're scared kind of thing. So they'll go and download this program, which is actually a virus, unbeknownst to them.
Mm.
And that's kind of how it works. Like and again, like scareware can spread like most viruses, right? It can spread as a worm. It can spread just throughout your like people just going on the internet. It might not even be an actual application itself. It could, like I said, just be it covered in the news. Um, and it doesn't directly harm your system, right? It again like kind of like backdoors. It it gets the user to infect themselves really. Um, and then basically like how a good example of how it worked, right, is spam emails might go out kind of thing to people, and they might see those, and they might be kind of like, oh man, I gotta defend myself against this, and they'll click on the link and then get the virus. Um, I mean, I can't confirm if this happened, but I've mentioned this a lot. But the WannaCry virus, right? People were freaking out about that. The media was going crazy over it, right? It was everywhere. So people might see that everyone's going crazy. They might start searching up, um, like how to protect yourself against it, and then uh, they might find like websites kind of thing that are not good websites, and they'll like all sort of scaring them, and then they'll get them to download this program, and that program will actually infect them. Maybe not with WannaCry, but with maybe a backdoor to let it in, or just a different virus itself. So basically, all it is it's getting people to be scared to download what essentially happens to be a virus. A great way to sort of like protect yourself against this is educate yourself, right? Know that fake website, that's the Windows Defender, uh, Windows10.com kind of thing, isn't real. The loud beeping and then everything isn't actually like a actual alert from Microsoft. Just be smart, really. Like don't and educate yourself. And just so you don't install anything in the first place by accident. And that kind of ties into the next sort of bundle I have here, which is they're all kind of
Fishing.
connected. Yeah, fishing, spear fishing, vishing, and then you're covering smishing. But sort of fishing, fishing, and vishing are very similar. So I can cover fishing first.
Yes. Same with whaling. Whaling's practically the same thing.
Yeah, basically all it is like sending out either spam emails or targeted emails. So in the case of phishing, it's usually a spam email, but spear phishing is targeted emails because it's trying to like spear a certain thing, right? And all it is basically the intent of stealing personal information from people. So you send an email to them. Either there's like a link again running almost like a scareware to do that, or it's just like social engineering in the email itself, trying to get them to like reveal things such as passwords, credit card numbers, company information. So I mean, good example of something like that would be if you ever got one of those like emails, oh your account has been compromised from some company, log in here to fix it kind of thing, and it just steals your email. Or like same thing with like banks, you might get like fake bank emails, same idea. um, Vishing is almost the same thing. What it is instead of sort of emails or messages, it's like voice. You make it like phone calls, almost like basically like spam phone calls, telemarketer kind of stuff. Same idea, except telemarketers usually aren't trying to like steal stuff, they're trying to sell you things. But same idea. They might give you a call like, "Hello, Windows support. We noticed that your computer has been infected by a virus," kind of thing. And that's all it is, trying to give away information. Really like how it spreads and how effective it is just by them responding to the emails or clicking emails, picking up the phone and talking to the person, just giving it away. And it can how it harms people, right? Is it can usually just steal information, you know, which is bad. Then so it can steal your bank information. They can bankrupt you. It can steal personal information. They can commit identity theft, stuff like that. Um, so again, so covering sort of more spear phishing, right, which is a targeted version of phishing. So instead of like just sort of mass emails, it'd be targeted at certain people. For example, a target like the higher ups of a big company, right, trying to get them to give away company information or their personal information, so they can take that and do whatever they want with it, right? So like trying to take uh, bank accounts, right, for the company bank accounts, stuff like that. And best way to stop that, educate yourself, right? They usually target large companies, so educate yourself, educate your colleagues, your employers, whatnot, how to avoid those emails, how to recognize them, how to avoid them, what not to do, right? So that basically like covers sort of spear phishing, phishing and vishing, smishing, right? That's you.
That's
You're kind of
mine.
yeah. It's super
Yeah.
similar, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's basically just phishing, but using SMS messages, like text messages,
Oh, okay, so you get like
instant
those.
messages on your phone.
Yeah, you get those texts again from your quote-unquote bank
Yeah,
saying your account's been
yeah.
compromised.
Yeah, I have that as my example. Damn it.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
can I still say it?
yeah. Go ahead.
All right, so this is just one of my examples. Nothing triggered it, but I was given a message on my phone through the Messages app saying that Scotiabank had to verify my credentials. I do not use Scotiabank. I had already had my bank account set up for a few months prior too. So I mean, I don't think they'd have to verify my account
Yeah,
a few months after I set it up, anyways.
it's usually the best way to
So
find out
yeah,
what's going on
they
too.
asked me for all the information on my card. Like all the numbers and then the three funky digits on the back. That stuff. And
Tension.
if they had succeeded, they could have had unlimited access to my savings. However, since I'm big brain, I did not fall for it. Don't
Attention
you laugh at
all
me being big brain?
attention all Ethans. Scotiabank needs your help.
Yeah. So yeah, that's smishing. It's pretty much the same with whaling too. So with whaling, it's spear phishing, but specifically like really high profile targets.
So like
Like that.
CEOs,
Yeah, the CEO of racism.
presidents kind of thing.
Yeah, Donald Trump. I mean, is he really like high profile?
Actually,
But
I feel like
yeah.
a good example of vishing, even though it was a bit of a joke, was voiceover Pete's videos. He'd attention all like Fortnite gamers. So
Oh
and so
yeah.
needs your help, right? And like credit, like you ask for like your credit card information. Like obviously it was supposed to be entirely a joke, but that was an example of vishing. That was, I mean, I don't think it ever actually got anybody,
Oh yeah.
but
It
it was
was
an
it was
example.
satire, but
Yeah,
like
that's a good example of what vishing is. You can just look at voiceover Pete's any of this credit card videos, and
like
there's tons of them.
another example. I saw this Reddit thread that was like, so if your social security number was how much money you had, how rich would you be?
Oh yeah, again, that's
And
more
like
sat there.
there was three people that actually answered honestly.
And see, but that's why they do it because it works. It's gonna infect somebody. Someone's gonna
Yeah.
get infected.
Oh yeah. No,
Uh,
this just dumb people out, and it's great.
yeah, I think we're gonna move on to farming, which is me again.
Oh,
Find that.
Farming
There we go.
Simulator 2019.
Farming. So I think I want to say like a good way to define this with a bit of an explanation is like the Roadrunner cartoons. Um, so for example, like Wile E. Coyote might put like one of those fake detour signs down to try to get Roadrunner to go down like a path so he can ambush him. Uh,
Uh,
so
Painting the fake wall.
yeah, not quite. The more the detour sign. So the act of
Ah,
placing that detour sign and getting the Roadrunner to go down that other path is what farming is. Basically, what it is trying to redirect a website's traffic to a sort of a different malicious one. Um, so you know,
cool.
yeah, and all basically how it can work is in a few ways. It could be from a vulnerability in your DNS server, like they got into your DNS server, which is bad because usually it's someone's router, unless you're like actually a big company, they have a server for it. Um,
For those of you who do not know what a DNS server is, for like the other like two or maybe three people that would watch the first 10 minutes of this, DNS is a domain name system. It's how websites actually link IPs to the names that you put into the search bar at the top.
yeah, so like if you're looking up, google.com, right?
Yeah.
It can translate that to google's.com's actual IP address, which I don't know off the top of my head, but you can literally just look it up.
Oh, I'm gonna search that up right now.
Yeah. Um, it can also just change certain host files or like routing files. It can or it can like hijack links, so like browser hijacks, which are pretty dangerous things. I think we talk about that later, don't we? Yeah, you talk about that later, Ethan.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, browser hijacks.
Browser checking. Oh, I'm such a gamer.
Anyway, or it can actually it can create like lookalike links, like you're talking about, like remember you're on the Blender download that wasn't actually Blender, so
Did not look like Blender. It
yeah,
was some like gibberish.
it looks like Blender, but the website itself and how it showed up, I'll actually talk about later. It's called SEO poisoning, which we'll talk about in a sec. Um, and it can basically harm people's systems again by basically allowing other malware onto your system, really, right? Once you go to that website, it can do whatever it wants, right? It can steal your information. It could end up just being again like a scareware to get you to download like programs. It can install other programs. It can just straight up scam you. Uh,
Yeah.
a good example, like how it works, right, is hacker targets someone's DNS server, company's DNS server, messes with the routing so that and then they create a fake website. So if you wanted to go to like some news website, right, or Facebook, they could mess with the DNS so that instead of going to Facebook's IP address, it goes to their fake website's IP address, which the URL might look the same. They might try to make it look the same. It'd be really easier with the news, less so with Facebook, because it's constantly changing and more personal. Um, and then once that user's on that web page, they can probably start trying to run stuff, and it can realistically just install whatever it wants and infect the system. Good way to protect yourself is make sure your antivirus is up to date, so that like if it tries to install anything, it might get stopped by the antivirus as well as your OS. Don't click suspicious links. You don't trust the link. Obviously, links can be fake, so you can usually inspect links too. Report unsafe links to internet forums, because there's vast forums on the internet about fake links and viruses. And you can even paste in a link, and it can like search its database and find what it's been tagged as, which is I don't know any websites off the top of my head, but they exist and they're really useful. Yeah, I recommend using those. Inform people you're working with or friends about these fake links, and realistically just don't click on the link. And then I think I'm right on to plugin vulnerabilities, which you talked about whaling before, right? Which is like very high up CEOs, stuff like that. But plugin vulnerabilities, very very simple thing. Plugin vulnerabilities. If you just do a quick Google search, all it is for the one application called WordPress. But all it is, like, for example, you get some sort of like plugin you can install to help you with productivity for any application really, and it could be hiding malicious code in it. So, or even like Chrome extensions. I mean, Chrome audits their stuff, but same idea. And basically, what all it is, right, is it's a Trojan. It's a Trojan virus, and it can pose as like a real a real application on a virus, but in the background it's a virus, and then it can infect your system. So it basically everything that a Trojan can do, it does the same thing. It's just basically a different way of getting into your system, because it acts as like a plugin for things like Word or like this WordPress. Anything can basically install third-party plugins. Um, I think I'm going right on to SEO poisoning, which was what I was talking about before, which is how you were saying you got that fake Blender up there, and
Oh yeah, no, it was something called like download.cnet.net or something like
okay,
that.
yeah, obviously fake, right? But
Yeah.
how it came up with the first results is what SEO poisoning is. So SEO poisoning is similar to farming, and it tries to redirect users' traffic away from credible sites. Although instead of like actually creating a detour, it's it basically instead of hijacking anything or creating fake links. I mean, it does create a fake link, but instead of like creating detours, it itself is an actual website. And what it does is it exploits search engine optimization, which is the SEO part, into displaying their websites first. So
Oh,
that's what happened,
so
right?
like they get a bunch of bots to like to spam search up
Yeah,
that
so
specific site
it
rather
comes
than
up first, kind of thing.
okay.
Basically tricking the algorithms into displaying it before the actual websites.
All right.
And then once it's there, it can basically do it. Once you and again, if someone clicks on it, like you said, you were on that fake Blender website. Um, Obviously, you didn't download anything, so you're probably okay. But
Yeah,
if you were to download something, or if it just had like auto runs for installing stuff, uh,
that was on one of the school computers, by the way.
oop,
So
that's
I'll
not
be
good.
safe.
Yeah, but that's how it works, right? So instead of like going to the website you're actually looking for, this one shows up instead, and you click on that one thinking it's the right website, but it's actually a fake one, and then you can get infected from it. Again, really like it just sort of harm you by uh, just faking yourself as a real website and then installing stuff. Example or sort of a description of how it might work. Again, like you're talking about like real life example when you went to that fake Blender, but description. Let's say there's like a big election happening, right? I
Yep.
believe this actually happened a long time ago um, when the internet was first starting up. A candidate had a
Dark
website.
days.
I don't remember the actual candidate's name as the U.S. election. But the candidate had a website, and they're talking about their plans, and then a hacker um, created a web page. I mean, a quote unquote hacker created a web page designed to look like the candidate's actual website, and then used SEO poisoning to make theirs show up first, so they look like the real website. And then people would actually click on that one, and it might display all kinds of false information about the candidates. It might have a bunch of like bad ads, inappropriate ads. It might install stuff on their system, and people will see that, and they'll think that this is the actual candidate itself trying to do that. Um, and then they would probably like wouldn't want to vote for that person, right? It would tarnish the name of the candidate. It would ruin their election unless it was controlled properly. Uh, Great way to do that. Always read URLs. If you don't trust it, don't click on it. Right? Again, use those websites to verify what websites are. Um, Usually, if you're looking to install something, it's usually like the name .com or like something similar to that. Usually, I mean there is exceptions, but for the most part, that's basically what it is. And then finally, we're on to browser hijacking.
Oh, that one's me. All right. So browser hijacking. Browser hijacking is a forceful way to take over a user's browsing application with intentions to simply redirect more to certain sites, thus increasing ad revenue. In some cases, they can be more malicious, installing other things like spyware, which I have talked about. So
Looks like
browser
we planned
hijacking
this.
must. Whoa, I wouldn't have imagined that. So browser hijacking is most commonly installed through email attachments or download links and torrents on websites. In later cases, your browser will just redirect more often towards a set pool of sites. However, in cases, softwares like spyware could be involved. Um, so, an example: Babylon Toolbar was a browser extension that basically forced itself as your primary browser. It also functioned as an adware program, and it's basically just like you try to search something up, and whenever you search something up, it would kind of do like an SEO poisoning type of thing where it would just set a certain set like it's like a sponsored websites as the primary results instead of what you actually want. For example, you want like a Wikipedia page. Well, too bad, you're actually going to superrainbowkitty.com or something like that.
Infernetpedia.com kind of thing. Some fake
Yeah.
one trying to be the same thing, but it's bad.
Wikitoria. All right, so how to prevent against this? I mean, just only download off of trusted sites. You can't really get browser hijacked if you don't download the
The
program
hijack.
that. Yeah, if you don't download the hijack, right? Like,
that can be said for all of these though. Like every single one
yeah,
of these,
like
you can't get
you
infected if
can't
you
really
don't
like
follow along with the infection.
exactly. You can't really get robbed if you if the robber doesn't really actually have a weapon.
You can't get robbed if you're not getting robbed.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and then just don't click suspicious links.
That's basically like a bit of the key thing for almost all of these.
Yeah,
I don't,
just be smart.
you hear that,
Don't.
people? Don't click suspicious links.
Yeah, it's like all those work safety ads from like from the early 2000s. It's just all the obvious stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like don't drop a nail 30, no, a hammer 30 feet up onto some dude's head. Like,
Bad idea, kind of thing.
yeah, and now that person's dead, and it's your fault. Like,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then,
So that should cover everything, right?
all right, yeah. So then, I feel like we should talk about what we think are like the most harmful out of the general malware and the email browser attacks. Let's start
I
with general
wasn't
malware.
prepared for this.
You were prepared or you weren't prepared?
No, I wasn't prepared for this. I
Okay,
don't know.
I want to well, based on what we heard, I want to say that backdoors are the most harmful
Yeah,
indirectly,
yeah,
right? Because they can just
yeah. I feel yeah.
like, Kieran, what do you have what to say about that?
I have something else to say first.
Oh, what's that?
We forgot to do spam.
We have to do spam. Okay.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
I
Okay,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
As me fist bumping myself, by the way.
Okay, so first off, we got spam. The definition in my words is a spam is a type of way to overload someone with something that you were trying to send them or like send across, basically. Such as, for an example, if you go into a website one day and you start getting a bunch of random emails, and that's basically it. Um, a user can get affected by not reading through the terms and conditions on a website or clicking onto an app, and also even clicking onto a sketchy website. It can harm the user by sending them false emails about stuff that isn't true, like winning a brand new iPhone that you in a randomly selected draw you should enter.
I'm sure we've all had
No
our
one
fair
wants to
share
give
of
away
those.
free Android, so I'm covered.
Me too, man.
Um, a real life example is Earthlink won a $25 million judgment against one of the most notorious and active spammers, in quotation marks, spammers, Con C. Smith, in 2001 for his role in founding the modern day spam industry, which dealt billions in economic damage and established thousands of spammers into the industry.
My man's the CEO of spam.
Literally,
Yeah.
I think like spam emails. We've probably heard of them. If you haven't, like Kieran was saying, we sort of like you might go to a website and your inbox starts getting flooded by a bunch of emails. Basically,
Yeah.
that happens there. Like a bunch of people, it's one of two things, right? Like you mentioned, the just getting spammed by a bunch of them, or it could be mass sending of the same emails to a bunch of people trying to do phishing attacks, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I mean, like, if you've never heard of spam, just go into your mail app or Gmail on Google and just click on the spam section. You'll see there's just a ton of scams.
Yeah, and you can also train the detection to filter out other things so you consider spam.
Like an amiibo.
No,
Darn.
like it can learn to recognize, oh, from anything from this email address we consider spam, and that's all it does.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Kieran, continue.
I also have like a real life example that happened to me.
Oh, okay, let's
So,
hear it.
Did you win a free iPhone?
no,
Darn.
sadly no.
Darn.
Um, when I actually, when I had access to Discord, I was writing this a couple of days ago when I couldn't access Discord, just to clarify that.
Yeah.
Um, I would get these random like messages from random Discord bots telling me to join their server for free Nitro or Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
Netflix,
I've heard
random
of
stuff
those.
like that.
Dude, I was getting something similar to that, except it wasn't even for any like what was it for any prize? They were just telling me to join this server. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I've gotten
With
those
emojis,
before.
by the way. With emojis,
Yeah.
so you know
Yeah.
it's good. You know it's legit.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I received so many Discord notifications that it didn't fully load every single notification
Just
that I
crash your
could
Discord.
get. So I had to like scroll down for like a solid 20 seconds just to find the very like start of like all the Discord groups that I'm in. It was
Yikes.
just crazy.
Just block those as much
Okay.
as you can.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably have to do that.
Anyway, well,
Um, so
yeah.
a user can protect themselves from a couple ways, which is protect yourself from spam emails. And wait, I'm reading something else. Sorry. Um, you have to go to trusted websites like Wikipedia instead of totally underscore legit underscore Wikipedia.com.
Like we talked
It's
about browser hijacks and SEO poisons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another way is to know when an email you receive is a type of spam email by either quickly skimming through the email, and when you do that, uh, you see words that are familiar in the email you read yesterday, thus stating the fact that the email is being spammed
Yeah.
to your inbox,
Tries to change it up a
even
bit.
though even though spamming is usually at a fast rate. And don't click on pop-ups, like
Spam is
bad
just,
pop-ups.
Yeah, don't click up on
dude. Spam,
pop-ups.
spam
Yeah,
is just like the slow DDoS of like mail.
yeah, and that's it.
All right. Yeah. Again, we talk about what we think sort of like the most dangerous general malware. I want to vote for backdoors.
I mean, if we're talking about like just it by itself, backdoors are like they do pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
But like once other viruses are involved, then backdoors are a serious problem. If we're talking just by itself,
Yeah.
spyware, it's a pretty broad category, I know, but like. But it's really dangerous. You can have all your information stolen.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty terrible. They can, if you have your bank information saved in like a Word document for safekeeping, that's gone now. It's
Yeah.
bad
So
safety.
I think yeah, it's probably. Oh, Kieran's having trouble there. I think it's a tie between probably spyware and backdoors. I think
Oh, I got the dangerous ones.
I think worm would come a close second because I mean worms
Oh
can
yeah.
can affect all kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Kieran?
I think it's backdoors,
You think
honestly.
backdoors? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair, fair.
So okay, I think backdoors win. It's our reigning champ for this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe the last episode will have like a showdown of all the of all
Well,
the champions.
well, the free for all championship.
Yeah.
Battle
I'm just
Royale.
gonna. There we
Yeah,
go.
throw 100 viruses and see who wins.
I think that actually should conclude our episode for today or this week. It looks like.
Why'd you highlight backdoors in red? Are we actually gonna do the
Yeah,
battle royale?
we're doing the battle royale at the end. But
Oh
yeah, no,
my.
that should probably conclude our virus podcast for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys for actually showing up and helping with this. Putting in your time to about an hour now. Putting in your time to come and just talk about viruses. We'll be back next week talking about social engineering and some deceptive methods.
Oh, so this is going on YouTube. Can I do the classic YouTube thing?
No, we're not liking and subscribing.
No, no, not that, not that.
What's that?
The other like
Although you
put your
should still
comments
like and
and put your
subscribe.
comments in, like if you guys have been keeping up to this, make sure you tell us what the worst virus is. Put that in the comment.
No, no. Okay, so
Darn.
yeah,
Yeah, cut that out.
we're concluding our podcast now. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something at the very least. It's been fun making this. Thank you guys for showing up, for helping me with this, and thank you guys, the viewers or listeners, for actually listening. And we're out.